And we've got a special one today, someone I've been following for a long time. Whenever I get ready to play a game on the stream, the first place I go is lemonamiga.com. Even if I'm not playing the game on the stream, I just want to learn about a game, or I just want to download a game, check out the box art, listen to some music. I always head to lemonamiga.com. They also have a great forum over there. And today we are joined by Lifeschool from Lemon Amiga to tell us a little bit about this awesome site. You know, it's always important for me to get the community involved in these streams. And one of the most important people in the community, in my opinion, is Dan Lifeschool from lemonamiga.com. Let's go over here. There he is. Dan, welcome to the stream.
Hello, thanks for having me on.
Oh, it's great. Thanks for coming on, Dan. Dan, Lemon is such an amazing website and resource for the Amiga community. I want to shine a little spotlight on it. If you guys do !lemon in the chat today, it will link you to lemonamiga.com. Also link you to Dan's YouTube channel, which is Lemon Amiga's YouTube channel, and also Dan's itch.io, where you can download some really cool and innovative games. We played, Crisis last week, which is super, super cool. So Dan's got a lot going on, and welcome to the stream, Dan. It's a pleasure to have you.
Well, thanks a lot. Fire away.
Dan, tell me a little bit about lemonamiga.com. What is Lemon Amiga, and why is it so awesome?
Well, Lemon Amiga was founded in 2004 by Kim Lemon, and Kim Lemon is a guy, even though he's called Kim, and he's from Sweden, a little island, or at least he was, a little island on the corner of Sweden. And he came up with all of this a few years after the Amiga had folded in 2000 whatever. He got a PC, and the first thing he did was come up with a database for Lemon 64 games and then Lemon Amiga games. And then it kind of got abandoned over the years, and he went on living his life and, looking after children and responsibilities. So a group of us kind of got together and decided to run it. And I think a guy called Pred Seder was there from the beginning. He comes from Prague in Czechia, which used to be called Czech Republic, and he runs it. He used to add all the games and moderate the forum and things like that. And there are lots of other guys, Sep and Retrovirus and all these other guys, Mike, who co-moderate, help various bits and pieces. But then I kind of took it over and kind of, added various things. I campaigned for the new events page listing on the forum, and I kind of asked for moderation rights, and I took over the games competition, and then, I kind of started the videos and the online help videos, how do you play games and things like that. Started the new games thread, which I know you refer to quite a lot, Bill, on this channel. The new games thread, I update that. I answer the questions, the hardware, the software, how do I do this and that, that kind of thing. So I basically log on about 5 times a day, check out the compo and get that up to date, and then answer all the questions, whatever I can. And then, if there's any news or anything, I update that. So it's my go-to pastime hobby, usually. It's the first thing I go to. And today, in fact, this very day, in fact, 4 hours ago or something like that, I've just released 27 new games on the Lemon Amiga website. So you can see it there, Bill, 27 new games. There's a picture of Duck Hunt on it. And that lists out some requests, and it also lists out some games that have needed to go on the forum for quite some time. Some AGA games, Gunship 2000 AGAs on there and that kind of thing. So
these new games, are they actually new Amiga games? Because are they older games that are newly added, or a combination of both?
Well, both. I mean, do you just want to click on that link on your screen there where it says new games? It should list them all out for us, list them all out, and then we can see them.
That's brilliant.
Right, so most of these you can see by the dates. Most of these are in period. Apart from, I mean, look, Deluxe Gallagher. How many years have been waiting for Deluxe Gallagher to get on the Lemon database? And it's now finally on there. We've got Duck Hunt, which is the latest game. You can see Gunship, Hack and Slay, which was released this year. A few public domain games. Insectoids in Outer Space, that was a Mark Sibley game. And Oblivion, that's pixel perfect kind of Defender clone. And some 3D games as well, which Retrovirus added to the database for us. Tetris 1200, that's another new game. Transarctica AJ, that's another game that's been waiting forever and ever. So even though that looks like only a handful, that's taken us since probably last May, June, whatever it was, the last time we released a batch of games. So a lot of these have been simply waiting to add forever.
Oh, it's unbelievable, Dan. So, I mean, it's so funny because every time I think of an Amiga game and I go on to Lemon Amiga, I search for it and it's there. So for me, it's like, it blows my mind that you guys are still adding so many games to the database because I feel like the database is like kind of complete. How many games are in your database about?
I've no idea. There'll be a total on there if you search for, under no name. I think there's maybe 4,000 or 5,000 on there, something like that.
Incredible.
So it's not quite as much as the Hall of Light, but it's most of the way there because we don't include compilations and things like that. We tend to just put full games on, or at least anything that qualifies as full games. So obviously, we're playing Lemmings at the moment in the Lemon Amiga Super League. Lemmings won, and that's only the second time that we've ever played it, which is amazing. And everybody said, "Wow, it's such an amazing, great game to play it in the Super League because we can now speed run it. We can now do it for timings and." Everybody, loves shaving those milliseconds off the Super League record and getting to the top of that table.
I want to talk about the Super League too. That's because that's a huge part of Lemon for me. But I have it up here. I just did a search for Lemmings because it's in the Super League this round. But to me, yours Lemon Amiga is not just it is a database, but it's more than just a database. For example, when you look up a game like Lemmings, it gives you tons of information about the credits. The hardware specs, but you also have videos, you have the theme song, all the music from the game, you have box scans, so the cover of the original Lemmings. It's just like the amount of information is so rich on Lemon Amiga. Links to the magazine reviews from back in the day of the game, external links where you could possibly download it or get more information about it. It's just such a rich resource, Dan. It's unbelievable. The amount of work that you and your team put into this is just incredible, and it's like having a living book to me. It's like having a living Amiga book that's like updated constantly. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's an encyclopedia. It's a Bible. If you want to, even that particular page you're looking at, it's got my video in the corner. So if anybody's struggling to play Lemmings, which I can't imagine anybody would be on the face of this planet, they can click on my video and it says, "Well, see that box down there?
Lemon Amiga present."
That's one thing that's on a lot of these videos. Everything that's on the right-hand panel on Lemon is kind of assets and things like that. Everything on the left is what users have contributed. User comments, user ratings, if they've got it as a favourite game, if they can put things down like they've got their. I think there's even a high score on some of these games as well. So all of those are contributions from people, and then the middle bit is obviously stuff that we've managed to get either off the Hall of Light or the game itself, or recently Moby Games and things like that. And the assets are what Kim Lemon managed to put together very recently. The links, the music, the box magazine covers. There might be some documents, help, instructions, some guides there that people have typed in and put together. And then there's some possible download links as well, usually to archive.org and also Turrican FTP recently. And then, some more external links if you want to look it up on Wikipedia or DuXD or all the conversion links as well. So somebody has to go through every conversion link and link up every game. Luckily, all the hard games have already been done now, so it's not too difficult to add new games, although it can still take maybe a week to add each one. and I only get around to maybe one a month, or something like that. So it can be quite time consuming to get all those assets, to get all those screenshots, the thumbnails, the small screenshots, the data, the pictures and everything else. So it does kind of we can't just rack them off. But yeah, it is. I'm very happy that it's very modern, and we try to keep up with the modern games and even the modern new releases games list on the forum. We'll link them up there so that we can, as soon as the new games are released, it kind of shows some progress. People can click on them. It's like, what kind of games are that? Well, you can click on it and have a look. So some of the old games have only got like one or two screenshots, and most of the ones that we've added recently have got quite a few. So unfortunately, the original Gunship didn't have any in-game screenshots in it whatsoever. So the ones I'm just taking for Gunship 2000, I made sure that there's quite a few.
Yeah, I'm looking at the main page here, and you got a games tab, but you also have this incredible community tab, which is like kind of like an old school, what do you call it, forum? But it's so cool.
Yeah.
Like, this is where you can go. It's a great community that you guys have here, and this is where you can go for the games competition. And like you said before, your resource that at the end of the year I always do, like, oh, these are the Amiga games that came out this year, and this is where I go to get that information from. Is that in the general selection, the general section here, Dan? Is it pinned in the general? Yeah.
No, games are in games section.
The games section. Okay, let's go back to community, and we'll go to games, and then we can go to games released in 2024 index. There we go. There it is.
Yeah.
Wow. So far we've had, wait a minute, we've had 33 games released so far in 2024. Amazing. And of course, you always link to like where folks can either purchase or download the game, which is fantastic. The resource is just the most valuable resource in the community. I love it. Oh, we got some demos. Rumors in development games, totally. Oh, Castlevania AGA, that one's close. I can't wait for that one. I'm also really excited about Boss Machine. There's so many really exciting ones that are coming out soon, or not as soon, but in the future. Grind's a great one. King and Balloon. Oh, I guess King and Balloon is like version 0.9, right? So it's not quite out yet.
0.94. It says
0.94.
So, yeah,
okay, there.
It's virtually out there. It's like one of my games. There's endless bugs in it. And you've got a few of my games there, Crisis, Yarimati Rally, that you've played already. And they go in the playable demos because, I haven't got the heart to put them into games, to be honest. They'll just go in the demos section.
The Crisis is so cool. We'll get into that as well. I played that either last week or the week before. It's so much fun.
Outrun. Two different versions of Outrun as well. It's difficult to keep on top, but you can see there's 11 pages there. So obviously, only a fraction of these of what I've put on the list. People send them in. Guests, come on. Hey, have you heard about this new game? Just like you heard about my new game, they'll just send the thing. Mailman, he's from Poland. He contributes to the Polish forums and things like that. Predseda, of course, he co-manages our website, and he buys all the modern latest games and adds them there. Mitch comes from Hull. He puts in lots of, he's an ST fan, I think. He puts in lots of the Grind, Scale Grid. You love that game, don't you?
Yep.
All these things, and occasionally I'll put one thing in that people have, one of my games will pop in there. So it's a community. Obviously, I don't do most of these. I just put the links in, and I copy and paste the links that they give me, and I have a look. So, like I say, I always make sure that there's a link in there, and then people can get back to them if you want to look at it on the itch page. Usually these days.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So that just is worth checking into Lemon Amiga just for that list, because that keeps you up to date on all the new Amiga games. But there's also, like you said, it's a community effort. So one of the coolest things that happens, in this Lemon Amiga community is the games competition between Lemon Amiga and English Amiga board, which is super, super fun. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the games competition? It's called the Super League. I love the Super League. Is a lot of fun. I've even participated, and it's so funny. We'll get into that in a minute, but I've played some Super League games and freaking never posted my screenshots. I feel like a dope, but I love the Super League. Tell us a little bit about the Super League. It's fantastic.
Well, I think that started pretty early on in Lemon's development. I joined it in 2011, so I think it started in 2005 or 7, or, well, 2004, the entire forum started. So right from the beginning, there was a group of guys. It started off pretty small, and then there was a rival one on the English Amiga board, which is another world famous forum on the Amiga. And they eventually got together and merged together into the Super League, which was named by an ex-player. He went on to come back and disappear as Ed209. And in 2011, I joined that team. It was initially run by Dark Prince, I think, and then Graham Humphrey took it over. And then me and Graham ran it for quite a few years with Mike, and then Graham moved on. You must know Graham from NAG, the Norwich Amiga group.
Yep.
He's there, all the the meetings, the NAG groups and stuff like that. It'd be great to have him on. And Graham kind of moved on and handed it to me, and now it's me and John 4P, and then he left, so it's just me and Mike. So you can see there's quite a few popular, Banshee, 24 players. It's still quite popular. The blue ones are obviously EAB because they're marked up, and the red ones are Lemon. And when we used to have an inter-team battle, 99% of the time, EAB used to cane us every single game, every single year. They won it. So eventually they trailed off and gave us a chance. And now for the past 2 or 3 years or whatever it's been, the Lemoners are more predominant on the league table. There used to be maybe about 35 players. It's gone down. You can see 23 there. And it usually goes down over the year because as the points accumulate, there's less chance of people getting up on the leaderboard. So people tend to fall away. At the beginning of the year, people have voted for Outrun Europa, things that I've been voting for the last, since 2011, since over 10 years. People have voted it, people enjoyed it. Some people came over from Lemon 64 to play that game with us, and that padded out the numbers. And there's usually about 30 to 35 people play it during the year. And of course, Amiga Bill, 5 points, it says there, I can see. So people, dip in and out with something like Populous, which is one of those games which you either love it or you hate it. Not that many people stand around and today I'm going to put Populous on rather than Lotus or Pang or one of these games that you could dip into. So you can see with Populous, we played Genesis and Badicon, and only 13 of us showed up to play it. And everybody enjoyed the fact, but it was pretty difficult to get your teeth into. Once you had done, then it was away you go, easy. But we're playing quite a few strategy games this year, and surprisingly, not a single platformer has come up so far, not a single one, even though the Amiga's famous for platformers. So we've been playing strategy games, we've got Lemmings, we've played Civilization in the past recently, Populous. Those that got into it said, oh yeah, I really love this. I never got into the game back in the day. I really love it now. Now I know how to play it. And that's the idea behind the game guides, the Lemon Amiga play guides. It's playing games and showing people how to play it, which I never got to play in my day. And Populous that I've recorded this year, it's going to be out next year or whenever it is. I've recorded it, I've narrated it. So this very round that you're looking at now is the inspiration for one of my play guide videos, and that's basically the impetus all the way through the thing since I started it. So
I love it.
I joined the competition, and then the first video I posted was Rough and Tumble. I think it could have been through entry for the game's competition. So one kind of sparked off the other. The compo led the way, if you will.
Yeah, the compo led the way for your playthrough videos, which are really fantastic. Whenever I fire up an Amiga game I've never played before, I always check one of your play guide videos if you've got one, because they're very clear and they explain the game. They give you some really cool tips and tricks as well. But the thing I love about the Super League is, the points are just are fantastic if you're really into it and really have time to learn the game. But I just like learning about a game I've never played before. I've learned a lot of games that I've played in the Super League I've never played before or hadn't played in a really long time. So to me, that's the most fun, because when you have 5,000-6,000 Amiga games, it can be a little overwhelming. I got time to play a game, but I don't know, what should I play? And this gives you a structure. This gives you a place to go for some inspiration on what to play, and especially if you've never played it before, because there are people voting on the games, and they usually pick something that's really cool and really interesting. So it kind of is a bit of a filter and it's a good place to go to find and discover a new game that you've never played before. You know there's going to be quality to it because they're not gonna choose a game that's that's rubbish to play. So I've had a great time, and actually Populous is one of the games that I've played. I played it on stream to enter in this Super League competition, and I never uploaded my score. I thought, because after it happens to me so many times, because I take a picture, I try and play on the real Amiga when I can, so I do a screenshot with my phone, and then I don't know, I didn't upload it. I'm a dope. I've done it a couple of times this year, but you know what? Hey, I pulled out Populous and I played it thanks to the compo, and I had a blast. Populous was always one of my favorite games growing up, and I hadn't played it in a long time, so it was really nice to play it again. But this competition is really fantastic. You were also
exactly.
Yeah, you were speaking about. So, how do people choose the games for the competition?
Well, there's a vote. If you go back to the competitions thread, there's a vote every 3 weeks to decide the latest game that we'll be playing. It's an open vote. All you need is to register on Lemon Amiga. You don't need to be part of the competition. So you can see up there, round 11, cast your votes. That's the latest stuff. And it's sometimes, well, throughout the year, it alternates between open rounds and a themed round. So in a themed round, like this year, we're running round 11 is 1993. So you can only vote for games that came out in 1993. Luckily, The Settlers came out in 1993, so I voted for that. You get 5 choices, rank them 1 to 5, and the most popular vote wins at the end. I toss them all up at the end of the, when it closes. So it says Tuesday, 27th of August on there. And at the end, well, there's a few games that you can't play because we had everybody choosing Super Frog every other week,
Right.
and Lotus and Chaos Engine and Pinball and, Stunt Car Racer every other week, Formula One Grand Prix and Sensible Soccer. So we've banned them all now until they've gone through a few years, and then you can vote them back.
That makes sense. It keeps it fresh. Otherwise, you kept playing the same games over and over again.
Yeah, and that wasn't even my idea. That was somebody else's idea. Biscuit came back to run the competition for a couple of years, and he implemented some things. So it's just a team effort. And yeah, you just vote for 5 games, and I toss them all up at the end every, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the number of first places usually wins it. And if there's a tie, well, there isn't usually a tie, but if there's a tie, then one of us has got to work it out somehow.
I love it. I love how you have the theme, like how you pick a theme. 1993. It again, it helps you narrow it down a bit and it makes it more interesting as well. And you learn something too. Oh, what games came out in 1993? Let me check, because you forget.
Well, there's a link there, Lemon and Hall of Lights, right at the top, next to under year 1993. If you click on one of them, it should link them all. So 427 games, of which some of those are educational, so we're not going to be playing them, are we? Some of those aren't suitable, like Abandoned Places do. But some of them are suitable, like Alfred Chicken. That's a game that we've never played in the games competition.
I've never played it at all. It looks really cool.
Yeah, well, it's not too bad. It's not as good as Chuck Rock, but everybody's got their favourites. As far as platformers go, I always stuck to Turrican. Turrican 1, Turrican 2.
They're such classics. I'm afraid to play Turrican 2 on stream because I'm not an expert at Turrican 2, and as soon as I fire it up, people are like, "You're doing it wrong. You missed the thing. You missed that thing. You missed the thing." I'm like, "I don't know about the thing. I'm trying to learn the game." But it's funny. I do need to stream some Turrican 2 more. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, but that's the other cool thing about Lemon is the advanced search. So you don't just type in the name of a game. You can just type in the name of a game if you want, but there's so many different ways you can search. So for example, here's the 1993, show me all the games from 93, or you can narrow your search by developer, or author, right? There's just almost like an infinite number of ways you can narrow it down. Oh, you can search by box art. That's amazing. Search by reviews. And on Lemon, you have professional reviews as well as fan reviews from members of Lemon Amiga. So I like seeing those scores. They're very, very cool. Look at all the ways you can search. Absolutely amazing. Yeah, unlike Google, our search is extremely niched fuzzy and focused on the details. Search by publisher, developer, people, the box art, amazing. It's such what a great resource, Dan. I absolutely love it. And if we go back to Lemon and let's see, well, since we're doing Lemmings, right? We'll go to LEMM. We'll go back to regular old Lemmings. And why don't we just show a little bit of one of your YouTube videos? Because Dan has got, he's the man behind the Lemon Amiga YouTube channel, !Lemon in the chat. His playthrough videos are awesome. Let's check out a little bit of the Lemmings video here. I'll turn it up.
A playtime video review. Sit back and enjoy the show.
That's a cool animation.
Yeah, I got that off an Amiga video titling software. I can't even remember what it is now, but all done on Amiga. Obviously, all these sprites were ripped from Amiga games. Dizzy 4 was the inspiration behind that background, the clouds and everything else. I grew up with the Dizzies on the Commodore 64, so the whole inspiration behind me showing people these guides was a guy on 64. I think I was like 12 when he was 13 or something. He came back to my place and showed me how to complete Ghosts and Goblins on the Commodore 64. And, straight out of the box, this is how you do it. And I thought, wow, if only I'd have been shown that before. And then I went home or I did it or whatever, and it's just like, oh, well, that's easy. I know how to do it now. I've got the thing. So that's kind of starts that how-to kind of bit of my history.
I love it because
from that, shown again.
There's good playthrough guides I've read, but there's nothing like seeing someone actually do it. So it's seeing it on your YouTube channel. It's cool, and you have an amazing collection of playthrough games. Like I said, whenever I fire up a game, I always check Lemon first, and if you've got a playthrough, I'll check that out. Because it's not just there are also playthroughs where people just play through the game and they don't talk you through it, but you explain everything that you're doing really well, and you explain the strategies as well. So it's like an ultimate Amiga Games resource, in my opinion. I love it. It's really fantastic. I'm wondering if you've got the Shadow of the Beast level on here, because that is the current. Oh, you do. Here it is. Here it is. There you are. See, this is the current competition. This is the current Super League competition. Is one of there's multiple levels, but this is one of the levels, the Shadow of the Beast level, which I never even really remember playing back then. So again, how many times have I played Lemmings? But I now once I saw this level in the competition, I'm like, oh yeah, I vaguely remember that. But I kind of forgot about it. So it's so cool to see the Shadow of the Beast level in Lemmings again. It's again another great asset to the games competition, is just rediscovering things that you kind of forgot about. And now here you are in the video showing people how to rock the level. It's so cool.
Yeah, hopefully. Although if you're playing it in the games competition, that little tree stump that I've just carved straight through in the background, you're supposed to go over that, and it'll mean that lemmings can't go backwards again. You can concentrate them all at the end of the level, and it's easy to get them to the exit from there. So there's an infinite amount that I could have added to these play guides, like F1 GP, that I only learned afterwards. Yeah, that's something that they're going over. I only learned that after I'd played these things in the compo. So what you're seeing is my warm-up tries and the rough tries and things like that. But yeah, sometimes like the Clue, or I don't know, I've been playing various things recently, point-and-click adventures. Some of them I've never played in my entire life before. I always wanted to find out how to play them, and sometimes it just gives me an excuse to go out to and figure it out. Oh yeah, how am I supposed to play that? You know, Kingdoms of England or whatever. And so it just means I can go back and play them, and it gives me that excuse. We're blessed on the Amiga with, you know, so many AAA titles. If you look at Nintendo, there's so many horrible, cheap Nintendo games that, you know, certain reviewers love to mock and say, oh, look at this, it's terrible. And it's same with quite a few platforms, but on the Amiga, well, it tends to be, it's either a great game or an average game, an ST port or a public domain effort. So I try to aim for the higher echelons of public domain effort with my games. But if you get into the A games, you could rack them off all night. There's thousands of them. A Cruise for a Corpse, and games that I haven't even covered, like Heimdall and stuff like that. Heimdall 2, stuff that I always wanted to try, and I've still not got into them, even all these years later. But I have actually reviewed Cadaver recently, which I've been trying to review for like 5 or 6 years and never got anywhere with it. So
Ghetto Finger Gaming says Turrican 3 Guide rocks. Sorry guys, you know what it is? I had a little wrong setting on my computer, so I haven't been able to see the chat. But everyone's saying how they love your playthroughs. They love Lemon Amiga. Retro Media Lauren, happy birthday. Very, very happy birthday. Lone Raider, thank you for the sub. Cadaver is the game you want to play. What's up, Ash said hi. What's up, Oram? If you're just joining the stream, welcome. We are joined by Dan Lifeschool from lemonamiga.com today. We're talking Amiga games. We're talking lemonamiga.com, which is my favorite resource online for Amiga. It's just absolutely fantastic. It's just a rich collection of Amiga game knowledge. It's the ultimate place to go for Amiga games. Classic Amiga games, new Amiga games. Dan's got his finger on the pulse of all the new Amiga games coming out, and the community comes together to help Dan be informed about new games. And they also have a gaming competition, which is super, super fun. I like the gaming competition, the Super League, because I get to play games that I never tried before. I get to pull out a few old favorites and see how I fare against other Amiga fans. Usually not so well, but although I did have a pretty good score in Banshee, I think, that never got recorded, or one of the games. I'm pretty good at the shoot 'em ups. That's my jam. But yeah, so Dan, this is an amazing resource. You also, let's see, so, and also, Ash, you love Lemon Amiga, nice. If you guys do !lemon in the chat, it will link you to lemonamiga.com. It will link you to Dan's itch.io, as well as the YouTube channel where he does all the playthroughs. Speaking of the itch.io, Dan, you're also a games developer yourself. So like, what have you been up to? What kind of games have you been developing lately?
Well, there's a few in development. I don't know if you want to show my page on your stream there, but
I do. I'm getting to it now. I just got a little copy and paste there. It should be this.
Hey man, you're the best video DJ. You're already on top of it. Look at that, even a box out on top of Lemon Amiga. So I've tried to put the Lemon Amiga background because I'm the world's biggest Lemon Amiga super fan. So if you scroll down to the bottom, I think the first game I released, you played on this channel, Holiday, which was, I think I ended up releasing that for Cammy's Amiga Games competition, if you remember that.
I sure do.
And you managed to get outside, and then you got interrupted, I'm afraid, when you were playing Holiday. But I thought, well, if I'm going to create a game, it better have higher resolution graphics. It has to have, really, ham color backgrounds to it. It has to have like a story. It has to have, be a point and click adventure. It has to have a soundtrack, a full 80s soundtrack with 2 radio stations. It's got to have voice speech sound effects, and it's got to be, kind of funny as well. So you can get drunk, you can vomit, you can, make an idiot of yourself. You can go skydive. Well, not skydiving. You can go skiing, and there was cliff diving in there, but I took that out because that sounded a bit too dangerous. You can go fishing as well. There's a sea area. There's clubs. There's various nightclubs. There's pubs that you can go into, restaurants you can go into. And also, shops you can go into. So yeah, it's a full guided trip around Benidorm, basically. Both times that I managed to get abroad to Spain within the last 10 years. And I went with my mum. She paid for me the first time, then the second time we got it together. So those are my actual hotel photographs.
That's what I love about it. It seems very personal to me, because it is your actual holiday. But the way that translates to me is I feel like I'm on a holiday too, because it's not glossy and overproduced. It feels very real to me. This game, like, I really felt like I was going on holiday when I was playing the game. It was like being on holiday with my family. It just felt very real and authentic.
Yeah, and you didn't try and jump off the balcony either, like some reviewers did, because that kills you instantly.
Now I have to try that.
The balcony. and said, I want to be there. That looks great. Yeah, I wish I could go there as well. So that was my first game. I made that using Can Do, which is again something that I've always wanted to get into since I first heard about it on the Amiga. And it's a lot easier than Blitz. It's a lot easier than learning, proper programming language because you can just create on there. It doesn't take any imagination at all. You can create a workbench app in about 10 minutes. And I created this point-and-click adventure. If I had my time again, I'd design it completely, utterly another way. But as my first project, I thought it came out really well.
I thought so
I
too.
had quite a lot of people downloading it. I think 700 people downloaded it. And it's made a bit of money as well. I think 40, 50 quid, something like that. So it's just like, wow, I never expected any of that. It's really took off. So much more than any of my other games, this one, it's kind of a bar game. You can imagine this set up in a bar somewhere, maybe even somewhere nice and warm, and people playing this, or somewhere in Germany, it was freezing and they want a holiday. I completely fully imagine this is set up on a bar somewhere so that people can imagine a trip abroad. And it's just like Street View, isn't it? In future, all this is going to be 3D and we're going to actually do it in 3D. We're going to walk down the street just like Street View, but it's going to be real. It's going to smell real and touch real. But for now, I mean, for the Amiga, for a 1985, Amiga, I mean, in my book, AGA is cheating. I didn't want to use it. Anybody can make the Amiga sing and dance in AGA. I mean, come on. Full motion video in AGA, anybody can do that, Greg.
Oh, that's hilarious. But yeah, I love the ham.
Yes.
The ham feels very authentic and unique to Amiga for me. Give me some ham fringing. I'll take the fringe any day. I love it. I love it. It all feels very OCS, and it's a good feel. It's got Amiga's DNA all over it, which I love. Speaking of the, hold on, exclamation mark. Yo, what's up, Mixels? We were talking about you in upcoming games. I was thinking about you, but Creeping Me Out Hex Night. Let me go back here, and we'll go back to Lifeschool's Itch. I'm really excited about the train game, which looks like it's a work in development. And also, I really like your Yari Matthew Rally. That was an event-based game. Ash and I were talking about event-based games like Dragon's Lair and Space Ace at Long Island Retro. Dropped that video this week. And this is similar to that. It feels like you're driving a rally car, but it's really like an event-based game, full motion video game, which is super cool. I love Yari Matti Rally. Let's see, I can play it.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see.
I think it means Harry Matthew in Finnish. So you're right. It really does mean Harry Matty. But yeah, it's I suppose you could really use that formula to make a Dragon's Lair game. Absolutely no problem at all. Because this is I wonder what you were doing there. This is me showing people how to do it. So this is me actually showing you in Can Do how I created it. I can't play it because it's copyright, as you found out, but I can show people how I created it, and it's very simple. In fact, the timer is quite pathetic. As I'm creating these games, I find out more and more how to actually do it, or how I should have done it. And so the time that I created in Crisis, I really need to backport that into Yari Matti, and then it's a decent timing routine, because at the moment it just approximates it. And as you found out, you can do it half an hour before a corner and it'll still count as a turn. So I need to fix the timer on it. But apart from that, everything else is great. It's got a programmable course routine on there as well, so you can even create your own track. And if I were a better designer, I'd have built that into the game, and then you could do that live. Because it's not impossible. It's just that I currently don't know how to do it. So you can see how easy it is. Can do. It's basically basic with basically 50 extra commands tagged on to make things, set pen, that just changes the current pen color, print text, that just prints things on the screen, and let just changes your variables. So I'm not doing a great deal, even on that particular screenshot. It just looks complicated. So for my pathetic Pascal skills that I learned in college, and COBOL and SQL and all the rest of it, I managed to cobble together enough to put this game together. And it uses, like you say, the ham video that I managed to find on Doug's video, 10 Mark. And he did a video on this ham video, and he did his own show in it. And I think he used to even produce his own show, the ham video. So I thought, well, I could do something with this. So it runs the ham video in the background, and it overlaps the foreground. And then when the video stops, what that reveals is basically the background with all the numbers on it and all the data that just compiles in real time. And what I really should have done is kind of make a graph, and then it goes up and down like a graph, which was, again, beyond my feeble possibilities at that particular point.
I like seeing the can do. It's something I could wrap my head around too, because when it comes to programming, I'm an if-then kind of guy. I can do some if-then statements, maybe some variables, and that kind of pushes my programming skills to the limit. So I think can do is something that I would like to play with too. And running video or stills, that's really cool. Incorporating some ham video or incorporating some ham stills into it as well. That's right up my sleeve. So you're inspiring me here, Dan. You're inspiring me. I totally dig it. And yeah, I know what you mean about the copyright. The stream I did with with Greg, it just, I got all these, as soon as I uploaded it to YouTube, it was just slap on the wrist after slap on the wrist. Like, my wrist is red. YouTube gave me a beat down, Greg. Greg, I tried to upload the replay of the stream that we did together, and I got an absolute beat down. Oh, you've got can do, but you still can't do anything with it. That's hilarious. What's up? What's up, Amiga Cammy? Great to see you. Let's go back. Now, this one is really cool. You see, it's so funny. It pulls it up in OBS, which is very, very strange. So I go back here, and then I have to pull it up the your itch.io. This would be easier if I go here. If I go to here, and then I go to here, I can pull up your itch over here a little faster. There it is. There it is. Lifeschool's itch and Crisis, which we played last week or the week before. This is pretty cool. Tell us a little bit about Crisis.
Oh, well, you already know all about Crisis. It's basically a demo. You used to put a disc in it. You used to make everything, you've just played a great demo now with loads of weird, crazy effects going on. Like I say, ham, in AGA, but I figured, well, it's not that the Amiga can't do it. It's just that the Amiga can't do it in real time. So if you could kind of play the video in the background, you can do stuff in the foreground. But unfortunately, with the video encoder that I'm using, you can't put anything over it. So that's one limit of all of these full motion video games. The video has to play, it basically has to take over the entire system, and it won't give me anything back, but it still keeps Workbench running in the background, or at least I can force it to do that using the run command, and then I can put my game underneath it. And then, so I thought, well, if I change it into a load of cutscenes, it'll look like you're playing the game on like an Amiga 1000 or whatever, and then if I put some game in there and it turned out to be a pop-up shooter, I think on easy you've got 3 guys, on medium you've got 5, on hard you've got 7 guys to shoot, and there's quite a lot of ham fringing on there. You see the blood as well on some of the screenshots. Unfortunately, I didn't get any, all that ham fringing. It kind of bleeds, and that's not well. I tried to fix that actually on the video by copying and pasting the blocks next to it and kind of bunching it up, and it kind of stops the bleed sometimes. So that kind of works, but most of the time you still see an odd line or two. So you can see at the bottom you've got HUDs as well, and they're blanked out. Not on that particular screen, but they're usually blanked out so the bleeds don't bleed as much. And on the other side as well, it's just pink, so I'm not too bothered about that particular screen. And in the real game, you can see through them. So I kind of hand drew most of it from the game itself, and ported it down and squashed it down into whatever the Amiga's running, 320 times 512. And I could have got it running in NTSC actually, because the video was NTSC.
It's cool. Anyway, you're basically like almost recording your gameplay, but then the player can play along. So it's like cutscenes, and then the player uses the mouse to shoot the characters on the screen. It works really well. It kind of, you can totally get immersed in it. I totally dig it. And it looks like you've got a train game coming as well. My dad would love that. He's a huge train fanatic. This is a work in progress, the Trans-Pennine Express.
Yeah, well, this is where I'm from, the Pennines. That's how you
Pennine.
pronounce it. And it's named after, well, apparently it's named after the Apennine Ridge of mountains in Italy, but that turned out to be false. It's not, but it's pretty. I think they named it in the 1800s. So Transpennine means it goes over a bunch of hills, and that's where I am on the hills in Lancashire. So you can see that's my local railway. That's the Transpennine Express, picking people up from Burnley, and then the next stop is Accrington after that. And you can see I put an instructions page on there, and I put basic, how long it's taking you, how long it's supposed to take you, some penalty points and stuff like that. But the thing with this game is you can actually stop and start the train, so you can stop and start the footage, and you can also make the footage go quicker and slower as well to some degree. So you're actually interacting with it this time. It's not just a passive thing. You can stop on the track if you want. You can speed up and go twice the speed limit if you want, and footage will go quicker. And then at the end, if you pull back and press fire, you can stop at a station. And then every station, I think there's 4 stations, of which I think there's maybe 1 or 2 on there. And after 4 stations, it basically says, right, you've had your run now, and it gives you your rating and your total score or whatever. So I started developing this directly after Yarimati, and then I broke off to do Crisis. And then that wasn't suitable for the games compo, the game jam. So I broke off to do Hammurabi, and it's still not complete. So I broke off from that back to Crisis, and that means I've left Trans-Pennine Express on the back burner. So this Hammurabi, it's 97% complete. It's basically a Sumer game that came out in 1977 on the mainframes, on the PDP 11, PDP 8, and things like that, on the big things that used to feed them bits of cardboard and they spit out the Oregon Trail and things like that. Then this is basically that. You can play it in the original 1979 mode, which is in green screen, or you can just play it with a ham background you can see on there. And I did it so that everything cuts off on the corners, so you can't see any ham fringing. And it's basically the same game, only asks you a few more questions. There's a new warrior in town. What do you do? There's a cloud passing over. What do you do? You find gold. What do you do about it? And this will obviously contribute to the outcome of the game.
That's fantastic.
You might get some more followers. You might get some more land. And so the continuation of this particular game, I'm hoping to do is like a Defender of the Crown game, where once you've got through every county and got through the land and made everybody happy, then you go on to the next county. And, Defender of the Crown with proper digitized art, because this is drawn artwork. Somebody's drawn this on a, whatever. So I want to do a proper scanned in Defender of the Crown with a proper map and proper, things like that. So that's another project. And that's the problem with making games. You're only ever limited to your imagination, and the Amiga makes it possible, because the Amiga was at least 10 years ahead of its time when that came out. The C64 came out in like 82, 83, and then in 85, you got a whole megabyte of memory. You got 4,096 colors. You got, virtually high definition ham with factory quality, CD quality, surround sound, 4-channel stereo audio. We still haven't got quadraphonic sound now, and the Amiga had it. So, if they'd split the channels up. So I just thought, well, if I'm going to make a game, I want to make this. So I made the Hammurabi, capital HAM, as kind of a hobby, and it's a real time sink. Once you get into these games, you can spend hours and days and months doing it. Honestly, it'll sap your life away. Oh, I just want to fix this. I want to fix that. It's like my videos. You saw me the other day rendering a film, Amiga the Quantum Leap version 1.1. And that's 8 years I've been trying to get that film back on YouTube. I haven't fixed it. And I got it up after that render that you saw that took 8 hours. And after that, I found a bugs list where I realised I hadn't fixed a single bug that I set out to fix.
Oh no.
So I'm going to have to render it again. And that's the 5th time I've rendered it. So it's just like a game. It's precisely like Frankenstein, like they said on the Retro Hour a few months ago. You're creating a monster. You're patching the arms and legs up so that it walks, and then you make it walk a bit better. Just like my Dizzy game, you make it walk a bit better, and then you move the arms up and down, you fix the head on a bit, and it's still walking a bit janky, and then you fix it up a bit, you know, and it's just like that. The more you continue with it, the more you sew it up and make the heart work and the brain work a bit better and the AI and stuff, and you get it working, and eventually you just have to give up. You're down to hand sewing the hairs upon the head, and you know, putting the freckles in, and you know, putting glasses on it. So you just have to draw the line. You just have to say, right, well, that's it, it's finished now, it's a demo. And virtually all of my games, apart from Holiday, have been just demos, just games that I've been tinkering with. Monkey Eye was obviously a homage to The Secrets of Monkey Island, which I ripped off just to see if I could do it in Can-Do. So Hammurabi's not quite ready. It's going to come out soon. And yeah, you can see there, I obviously ripped the graphics completely from Monkey Island. But I did a day-to-night cycle because I always wanted to know what that would look like. Monkey Island in the daylight, and I've made the screenshots so you can hardly see it. It's like pea soup, but in the game the sun comes up and goes down, and that's a part of the game you're supposed to get the sun. So it's just a scrolling screen, literally 4-screen adventure where you pick up maybe 4 objects and stuff like that. But I always wanted to know what you could do with the color palette, because after Holiday I figured out how to do a day to night cycle. So I put that in this game, and I put that into the Dizzy game as well. Eventually, the entire colour palette changes into a day-to-night cycle. And you can see in the Dizzy game, I used obviously higher resolution hand backgrounds as well. So I could give it 6 layers of backgrounds, a faint horizon, and then there's a horizon, then there's the hills, then there's the foreground hills, then there's the near side hills, then you've got the actual bit of the actual game itself. So I just wanted to know what it looked like. So I got the Commodore 64 version and ported it down to whatever it is, 320 or 512 or whatever it is, and literally just ported it over screen by screen, bit by bit. You can see the original graphics started with the Holiday icon. I just literally copy code from one demo to another, and eventually I get a working bird that flies around, and I get, you know, an introduction screen and things like that, and everything looks all right. Cool. So I get it to the point of you meet Zax at the end. I think it's 11 screens, it says. You meet Zax at the end, and then you kill him, and then that's game over. But I always wanted Dizzy 1 on the Amiga. That's something that I definitely wanted. And I thought, well, nobody else is going to do it. Nobody else is going to do it for me, you know, or else they would have done it by now. So I'm going to see if you can do it with Can-Do. And Can-Do is a bit like Scala. It's a productivity multimedia package. It's meant for you to write text on it and graphics and scroll them around, do very much Scala control graphics. And that's meant what it's not meant to do a Dizzy game. You're not meant to do a platformer on it with, you know, picking up and dropping items and doing spirals as you jump in. It's not meant for that. It was never intended for that. But the Amiga makes it possible. And I can program my way around anything with Can-Do.
I love it. I love it, Dan. It's so cool. You have so many cool projects going on. Yo, Air Yuri, thank you for gifting out 5 community subs. That's amazing, Air Yuri. Zendar with the resub. Lone Raider 1. Amiga Dweeb, what's going on? Thank you guys so much. The Juicy, thank you for the follow. And D Mackey, thanks for gifting us up to Triace, as well as Tiger Skunk. Devil Inside, thank you all so much for the support. I appreciate it. Dan, you have a lot of these games are incredible. I love your concepts. I love how you're developing it, like in the train game, how you can now control the train, you know, versus your previous efforts where you couldn't control it. So you're definitely developing as a game dev. And these are super cool. I'm really looking forward to the train one, because I'm gonna think of my dad when I play that. But you have a lot of cool stuff going on here. It's just awesome. It is awesome, Dan. If you're just
I almost made the train one going down, you know, the Rocky Mountains, and you've got that windy road going down through the valleys and over the bridges and stuff like that, with the red rocks and stuff like that. I thought, wow, that'd be tremendous. But you end up spending it in third gear going down a mountain, and it ended up being boring. So I had to spice it up. I had to put alarms in it and stuff like that. I'll definitely let you have a demo when it's going to be.
oh, I can't wait. Yeah.
So you can have a play with it. And I really wanted to add like Calcutta and stuff like that. But again, you're stuck in first gear going through 10 million Indians and, you know, parting your way through the crowd. So it's got the potential there. Just like Yarimati, I want people to expand it, but they're never going to do that. You know, this is a real niche market we're talking about. But it's kind of pushing the frontiers, as somebody said, in 2024. And it's staggering. But just to mention before I finish off what I was talking about before about the wipes, you remember that show Home Improvement?
Sure.
From the 80s with Tim Allen. You probably know the story. It's doing show with it, or as a catchphrase, you know, and howdy neighbour and all the rest of it. But every single wipe, if you ever watched that show, every single wipe and fade that they do was used with Scala. Every single, you know, fade and everything. As the show goes on, as the seasons go on, you'll see every single wipe done in Scala. So that's evidence that Amiga was used in home telly. So
I forgot about that. I totally forgot that they used the Amiga for those wipes. And those wipes are very unique. There was nothing else on TV that looked like those wipes. It was definitely a unique characteristic of that show.
Yeah, amazing stuff.
Yeah.
So I know you want to, I mean, you sure, you know, we've been on maybe an hour, but that's basically, I mean, that's not all I do. I'm very interested in history. I've looked at the past, I've looked at the future, you know, everything's history if you think about it. If you've got a pen next to you on the table, you might look at a pen and think, well, there's no history to that. But, you know, you look at the pen, well, I know exactly where I got it from. I know when I got it. You know, it's a gift from somebody. It was this, it was that. Everything's history. Every single thing that you can think about is history because you've had a history with your partner, your child, video games, history is movies, history is lemonamiga.com, forums, and every single thing that you think about is a bubble, basically. It's a bit like a Mandelbrot. The more you go into it, the more it goes into a bubble within a bubble. And if you think about TV world, when you're watching TV, the whole picture blows up to the size of your face, even though it's miles away. And when you're looking at something on TV, that blows up to the size of your vision. It's like when you're looking at a sign. So there's worlds within worlds. And when you ask somebody about what world they live in, you know, I could talk about my spiritual world and my life, my emotional, social, economical, job side of things, you know, video games, rally, Formula One, all the history stuff that I'm into, all the technology stuff that I'm into, all these you know, worlds within worlds that make up an aspect. And the great thing about the Amiga is it's possible to incorporate all of that lot and still do computing at the same time. And that's why I just gravitated towards it. As soon as I got one, I clung on to my Commodore 64 forever, but as soon as I got one, I just thought, well, this is it now. This is light years ahead of its time. And if they'd kept developing it, if they'd done the AAA, if they'd done Hombre, there's a good chance that, given the fact that Mac hasn't improved Mac OS 10 in about 10, 20 years, there's a good chance that the Amiga by now would be still up there with the Apples of this world, niche video editing, ray tracing, all that lot. You know, the Amiga never went away. John Romero never killed anything. It's still here. All of us fans are still living it. It's still here. Even my computer keyboard that I'm using now is an Amiga that I've got ported, you know, USB'd up to my PC. I can't live without a clacky Amiga keyboard. I can't live without my zip stick, you know, my Amiga emulators and stuff like that. The games competition, you know, Walker and stuff like that. There's just so many memories from before things went terrible in my life that I have to go back to the nice, the rainbow, the colour, the spectacle of it, the innocent times of those days in the 70s and 80s when we all grew up thinking that everything that we saw on Star Trek was massive future, and everything that we saw Back to the Future too. Well, now they've invented the microwave. They're getting towards the flying cars. They've invented the 3D, the visors, the headsets, everything that we thought would take ages. Gordon Moore predicted that it's just getting faster and faster and faster, and smaller and smaller and smaller. In 1,000 years, we won't have to lift a finger. Everything will be in our heads. Everything, just like the Matrix, we're plugged into things because the human body is an energy generated more than anything else, and we'll have headsets powered by our own clothing before you know it, in our own lifetimes. So
Dan, I'm seeing the premise for your
Amiga,
next game. I'm seeing the premise for your next game here.
what's that, Walker?
No,
You
a
want to do
sci-fi.
Walker
No,
on
a
the
sci-fi.
Amiga?
The sci-fi world where everyone's got the implants in their heads.
Well, yeah. Well, I've been unfortunately, Can Do isn't that good at producing 3D. I've been desperately thinking about it, but I just can't get 3D to come on without flashing and flickering like an ancient game. So, I've been thinking about stuff, but I mean, VR, there's an argument to say it started with Sword of Damocles in the 1950s and 60s or whatever, and TRXO. I made a whole documentary about Tixo and stuff like that called Amiga, the Quantum Leap. But there's a whole argument to say that modern VR all started with that, whatever it was, VR 3000 machine, the arcade machine that they started, and with that Amiga 3000 in it. And that all led on to other Nintendo thinking, oh, well, we can do that in 3D. And then, oh, let's do the 64. That's like 3D. And, oh, the PlayStation, we can do 3D. So 3D, you can't get a game now without being 10 million polygons thick. But back then, your imagination was king. It didn't matter how many polygons it had. If it had a voice speech sound effect going, game over, man. And by the way, that came from Test Drive 2. Do you remember?
I do.
Test Drive
I
2.
do. Test Drive 2 is amazing.
Right at the end. So that sample
duel.
of Bill Paxton was lifted from that game.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
it.
I didn't realize
Like
that
you
either.
say, Bill Paxton, what a legend. Every film that you're in, legend. Even Twister, legend. So, we remember the history with the Amiga. History never dies. Nobody ever forgets Julius Caesar. It doesn't go anywhere. Elvis Presley, Marilyn Monroe, it's a world within a world. As soon as you tap into that, you unlock all of that energy. It's like walking into a church. It's precisely that. This is the premier Amiga channel on the Amiga. This is, MTV for the Amiga. This channel that I'm on now, this is it. This is the Amiga World channel, Amiga TV. And you do such a great job of keeping the spirit alive. News every week, interviews every week, talking about games, talking about hardware, new things coming out, new revolutions that we can do on our Amiga. It's people like you that keep it alive. It's people like me. It's people like us. It's the scene, the community, the worlds within worlds, all bonding together in parallel. We're not doing this in serial like a USB serial bus, like a Windows CPU. We're actually doing all this in parallel, all at the same time, to create a world. And that's what I love about it. I've never felt alienated in Amiga world, maybe on some Amiga websites and forums, but I always felt like it's my home, my place, my, whatever. It just feels like Amiga. It just feels like me. So, you say, how are you attracted to the Amiga? How are you Look at Lemon Amiga. Look how colourful it is. Rich, blue. We've got bubbles on there from Amiga games. We've got various backgrounds. We've got, a community hub on there and everything else. The top 100 greatest games. And if you click on the games panel, I think it'll show you the top worst 100 as well. So we've got everything on there. So
you're right. It's all about the community.
Yeah, right at the bottom, worst 100 games.
Worst 100 games.
It's hidden away.
That's hilarious.
Right at the bottom, there it is. It's hidden away, but it's a special feature. So what's the worst game? Pussy Quest.
I'm gonna have to try that one. I never played that one.
Yeah. Well,
I can come up.
I've played Surf Ninjas. I've played Gazza's Super Soccer. No, honestly, don't. Leave that to Zeus Daz and all those people that love playing NAF games.
I like the
Yeah,
the filter here because you keep me from getting banned right now, Dan. Thank you for the kind words about the channel, by the way. That really means a lot. And thanks for
awesome.
the filter. Otherwise, I'd be getting banned right now.
Yeah,
But
well,
that word really means a lot. And you're right. It's all about the community. Same thing for me with Amiga. It's all about the community. Like the Westchester Amiga user group that I'm involved with. We've been meeting since 1988. Never stops, never will. And the Amiga is really amazing, but the Amiga is just an excuse to get together with friends at the end of the day. So it's all about the community and all about the people who you make friends and relationships with.
it's a party, isn't it? It's
It
a
is.
party environment. It's a party computer. The graphics don't take themselves too seriously. It's like a cartoon, isn't it? All this stuff. It's not like a 64 that's like a silhouette. But it's not like a Nintendo 64 that's like a step closer to reality. It's a bit like I don't know. These games are meant for 11 to 15-year-olds, games that we used to play back in the day. They're never meant to be serious. And look at that Gaza 2, it's up to 27. Graham Souness 3D Soccer, that's my next game. 3D Soccer.
Okay. This is a new topic for a stream, the worst Amiga games. Vader actually looks pretty cool. Some of these I kind of want to try out.
Yeah, well, it's definitely an idea, but it'll stink.
Yeah.
Very kinda. You have to play that on a triple or as it goes to Dangerous Streets. That was bundled with the Amiga. And yeah, Street Fighter Zero it is.
Definitely not a system seller. It's a system killer if it comes bundled with it.
Yeah, a system killer.
Yeah.
I mean, Oscar wasn't that great. Nobody likes playing Oscar, even though it's an AGA game. Diggers, it's got slightly better. Back to the Future 2 stank. There's quite a lot of games on the Amiga that was bundled with it that stank. But, they had to make it look like it was worth buying. And when I got mine, it was all second hand. I always swore I'd never get a computer unless I could get copies. So I got a 64 and got a twin cassette tape deck the next year, and then I could copy them. And then Amiga, it was X copy all the way, baby, all the way down the line. So I got given tons of originals after that. And then I got a PlayStation and got it chipped. So, even now, the copying scene, the ADF, there's an argument that says if it wasn't for the ADFs to keep the Amiga scene alive, if the rest copyright, we wouldn't be able to use it, would we? So it's the pirates that have kept the scene alive. WHD load. It's thanks to those pirates that all of these games can still be played now. Otherwise, there'd be some fat cat saying, "Oh no, you can't play that unless you pay us a license fee."
No, the WHD load. Yeah, all these games are basically like abandonware, and I'm so glad that they exist because you're right. It is all the history. The WHD load is incredible. The ADF files, it's so important to keep all this stuff alive. Even though these games are technically the worst games on Lemon Amiga, it's still important that they all exist. So here's Rise of the Robots. That's an important game. Even though it's not a great game to play, it's an important game on the CD32. Street Fighter, it's important to see this terrible port. And I'm so excited about I've seen some people doing some concepts of a new Street Fighter for Amiga, which is super exciting as well. So yeah, it's really important to just keep all this history alive.
Yeah, and Outrun and all the other bad conversions we got as well. It's important to show what we did get, and then we can improve upon it. And maybe someday we'll get arcade perfect conversions that we should have got in the first place. But I mean, we can't blame the designers and the coders because they only had 3 weeks to code half this stuff. They were on a deadline. US Gold, copied a lot of this stuff. Some of this stuff is shovelware. Peter Beards is, I think, Spectrum game. Some of this was just, shoved together in Bangkok Nights. I think that was an 8-bit game. So you can't blame them. All you can do is blame the market for saying, yeah, let's bung something on the Amiga. And at least now there is some kind of a standard that we can aim for. I'm still waiting for June 3 and stuff like that. I want the Settlers 2 on there and stuff like that. Formula Grand Prix 2. We got a decent version of Canon, Bubble Bobble recently, Tiny Wobble, and that's an immaculate game. Speedball 2, immaculate game. All these are obviously the top top games.
I'm a big fan
And
of
something, of
JOTD's
course.
work. The JOTD's porting those arcade classics like Galaga 500 and Pac-Man 500, Miss Pac-Man 500. It's incredible. D Mackey, thank you
Oh
for
yeah.
gifting the subs, and Conjure, thank you for gifting the sub to Aztok Dog. What's up, Aztok Dog? Great to see you. Oh yeah, this is those the new ports when people actually have the time and the resources. Like you said, you can't necessarily blame the folks from back then because there was a lot of economics involved, and they're a business. They're there to make money more than make a really true port.
Yeah, I think Howard Scott Warshaw had 3 weeks to make ET, and they did exactly the same for like Bangkok Nights on the Amiga or whatever. Nothing changed. It's just that the margins went up. So, yeah, there's inspiration on the Amiga. I mean, Out of This World was full motion walking, and Prince of Persia and things like that. Things that we can only. Today, everybody, you can't make a game unless it's got a full motion introduction. But you remember where you were the first time you saw Out of This World or whatever it is
sure
with the
do.
Ferrari.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
It's just like, wow.
Yeah, this game blew me. It's still like someone asked me at the top of the stream what my favorite Amiga games were, and Out of This World / Another World comes right to the top of the list. It to me it encapsulates everything that's Amiga. The amazing opening, amazing atmosphere. It just sucks you right into the game. I really felt like I was living in that world when I played the game, just based on the atmospheric sounds that were playing in the background, audio-wise. The character development was just incredible. You actually felt the bonds between your character and the friend, and you actually cared about the friend. It was actually an emotional story. It was incredible, and there's no words in it either. How do you create an emotional story with no words? Well, they did it. It's unbelievable, unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it really is that they did like motion capture and stuff. But I think they started on the Apple II with motion capture, Jordan Mechner and things like that. But I mean, we did get, look at that, Genetic Species.
Yeah.
We did get loads of good games. We got loads of ports. We got, Battle Squadron, amazing game.
Oh, yeah.
All these games. And they still hold up today. If you're playing, I don't know, Megalomania or something, it'll still hold up. Pinball Fantasies.
So good.
Beneath the Steel Sky, that's another one with a friend.
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
It's that's the thing about great game design. It doesn't matter. And at the end of the day, the graphics and sound, it doesn't really matter. If it's a great game, it's a great game, and it'll stand the test of time.
Yeah. And even modern games, touch screens, the graphics have shrunk down to this size again. So it's all come back around in a circle, really, if you think about it. Although mobiles these days are high res.
Chaos Engine, that's one of my favorite two-player games. I love playing Chaos Engine.
Did you know how to play that back in the day?
Oh, I did. I played that one. Chaos Engine was one that we definitely played, and it was great because it was two players. So we would do it at the WOG parties, WOG meetings, because I always like playing two-player games when you get together at the meetings because it's something you can't really do, on your own. I mean, you can Amiga Live and all that stuff, but there's nothing like sitting together in a room at the same computer, going head-to-head or playing co-op. It's the best.
Yeah, absolutely. I've only done the Amiga Live thing, but even with Amiga Live, it was still amazing to think that this is even possible to play two players, over a network.
Incredible. Amiga Live is amazing. Oh my God, I love it. But this is quite the list. Yeah, so I mean, Lemon Amiga is just an invaluable resource to the community. Dan, I could talk to you a lot longer. It's so much fun talking to you, but I'm actually have to hop onto another stream after my stream. So, and I still got to do the Amiga news. I see Johnny Acevedo there in the chat, Amyton. We're going to play Amyton's new game, so I can't wait to check that out. I know that's going to be on Lemon Amiga. So, unfortunately, I have to cut the interview short here because I got a lot to do before, and I can't stream as long as usual today because I need a little break to get some dinner before my next stream when I'm the guest. But it's just been awesome. Does anyone have any questions for Dan before he heads out? Dan, thank you for your time today. I really appreciate it. And most importantly, thanks for all the amazing work you do over on lemonamiga.com. To me, it's the most valuable resource in the Amiga community. If you're thinking about Amiga games, it's the place to go. And the history that you preserve there is incredible, as well as the future. All the new Amiga games, all the upcoming Amiga games. It's the place to be, lemonamiga.com. Let's see if anyone is... Let's see. Fishbot. Yeah, Fishbot. Yeah, Fishbot's got a good one. What challenges have you faced maintaining such a comprehensive database?
Time, that's the biggest challenge. There's never enough time to keep anything up to date because, there's new games releases coming out every week. And, if you're looking in the wrong place, you'll miss them. And games, coming out every week. So all these thousands of games and stuff like that, face maintaining such data. Well, it's difficult running the competition because players will try and get away with murder. Players will try and get away with everything. It's difficult just trying to keep on top of the news. It's everything's a challenge. So the least challenge of it all is just tuning in, just looking at the Lemon website and doing it. But like I said, the latest games have been released this week. Sadly, nothing from AMI 10, unfortunately. Is that AMI Tenerife, something like that?
AMI 10, yeah, AMI 10.
Tenerife. What a
Yeah,
fantastic.
Tenerife. I know. I call it Amiga Paradise. Johnny from Amiga Paradise.
Yeah, I want to get back there, man. I need to. Holiday 2. Can you fund it? Fund me to get back there. Holiday 2, mate.
Holiday 2, yeah, you can make the sequel. Then you can submit it to Amiga Cammy's competition. The sequel to your own game.
Yeah,
the sequel to your own
idea.
game.
Let's make it so.
What's your favorite game? I see some folks in the chat asking.
My favourite game. It used to be I've put the most time into the Settlers of any game in my life. Probably. It duels up there with San Andreas, Grand Theft Auto, which I spent 6 months playing it, and then I started it again and spent another 6 months playing it. Lotus 1, I think, is an immaculate game. I spent hours. I used to load up Lotus 1 just while I was thinking of another game to play. So I love Dune 2, although it's too easy. What else? I'd say those are the top. I was never that good at sensible soccer. I almost broke my wrist trying to play sensible soccer against a friend who used to invite himself back every week just to kick me ass at sensible soccer. and they were laughing at me. I've got these bandages around my wrist. How did tell him how you did that? Like in college or whatever, playing him, losing to him at sensible soccer. So I always had a love-hate relationship with that. Obviously, with the Settlers, you could spend decades playing that. I went back and completed it recently, and you do get an animated extraduction when you complete it, which is fantastic. And so it's well worth completing it.
Which I think you have here. You've got the intro right here, right? So this is what happens when you complete it.
That's the introduction one.
That's
you can
the
see there. Yeah. Although still fantastic. It looks like AGA, but it's only ECS. Or whatever it is. Full screen.
It looks like a cartoon.
Yeah, that's what they wanted for the Amiga. They invented it so that it'd do cartoons. They didn't realise it'd do full screen NTSC live video with, DigiView and Gen locks and stuff.
Everyone really enjoyed. It's so beautiful. It is so. When I think of animation on the Amiga, I think of Eric Schwartz. His animations were incredible. The Settlers is the best game on the Amiga. Wings is a great game, totally. Everyone's saying it's a great interview. Everyone really enjoyed it, Dan. Oh, and Amiton TV says, I'm in Tenerife. Feel free to visit me if you visit the island on holidays. Thanks for all your work on Lemon Amiga. Everyone's saying thanks for all your time on Lemon Amiga. Seriously, Dan, Lemon Amiga, it's I don't know what I'd do without it. I don't know what I would do without it. It's like the backbone of all my streams. I love it so much.
Yeah, same here, but I can't take all the credit. Because Pred said he's been around there for a lot longer than I have, and it's a team. So it's team for me for the new games entries, team for me. I imagine if I were on my own running the competition, that wouldn't be very good, would it? So we're still looking for new players. If you want to get involved, suggest a game that we've missed, suggest fixes and bug fixes, suggest games, vote for games in the Lemon competition. It's up to you guys, really. I'm a slave to the dream. I'm an addict for life. There's no escape for me. But
I'm with you too. I'm an Amiga addict too. It's hard. I'm an Amiga addict, and I'm not going to rehab anytime soon, Dan.
Yeah, an Amiga-holic.
I am.
Well, the best way to be.
Cheers, Dan. Well, hey, thanks so much for your time today, and again, thanks for all your time on Lemon. It's everyone loved the interview. Appreciate you. Thanks, KL64. Everyone's saying thank you, Dan, for all your time. It was a magnificent interview. And Dan, come back anytime. And folks, definitely go to lemonamiga.com and get involved in the games competition. The more people who are involved, the more fun it is. The compo is so much fun. Maybe we'll do some Lemmings today. We'll do the Shadow of the Beast level so we can at least get an entry, and I at least want to get on the board. Because I've done two, and I've done two, and I never posted. And I'm like, oh, come on, Bill. Get better. Be better. Thanks, everyone.
I mean, how awesome can you get a game with 4 games within a game? You get Shadow of the Beast, Lemmings, Menace. Awesome. How awesome is that? And Beast 2. That's when games were games, when you got to play a game within a game.
The ultimate, right?
Parallel processing.
Exactly.
So, anyway.
Cheers, Dan.
Stride into the future, mate.
Cheers, Dan. Thanks. Keep in touch and keep up all the great work. You rock. And thank you. Thank you for everything you do. Appreciate you so much. And thanks for the kind words. It means a lot, especially coming from you. You're the best. Appreciate you, Dan.
Thanks,
Cheers.
everybody. And see you around. You know where I am, Lemon Amiga.
Yep. ! Lemon in the chat. It's always there every week. Yeah, we'll take you to lemonamiga.com. It'll take you to Dan's itch.io and also his YouTube channel where he does all of the playthroughs. They're really more guides than playthroughs of the games. Fantastic stuff! ! Lemon. Get your fresh squeezed Amiga goodness at lemonamiga.com.
Yeah. I can see Rise of the Triad behind. I used to play one of my reviews in the background.
Oh, there it is. Is it playing one of your reviews? That's great. I don't know. I put it on YouTube.
No idea.
I put on the Boing Ball demo to have it on the Boing Ball behind me. There's like a 30-minute loop of the Boing Ball. But now it's on to other videos. I don't know. It's just playing them randomly. But yeah, I love Rise of the Triad.
Oh, well.
Love Rise of the Triad.
Oh,
it's so good.
Yeah. Anyway.
Cheers, Dan.
I'll let you go.
All right. Thanks, dude. Take care. Bye-bye.
See you later.
Bye-bye. There we have it, guys. Dan. Oh, it's MVG. I see you back there, MVG.